Hello there, Mandy here. Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart is not just a podcast. It's also a book, a free online grief group, and a one-on-one private coaching practice. If you are interested in learning more, visit mandykapehart.com to find out how restorative grief can help you heal heart, mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart. You are listening to episode 246, titled Parenting Through Divorce and Grief. What does it actually look like to keep showing up for your children when your own life is changing in ways you didn't choose? Today, we are talking about parenting through the grief of divorce and how to gently reorient yourself to what you are and what you are not responsible for in this season. Together, we'll explore how to begin creating a sense of safety, security, and belonging for yourself and your children through this process, one step at a time. Parenting through divorce brings a kind of grief that often goes unnamed. There is the end of a partnership, yes, but there's also the loss of a shared vision, a familiar rhythm, and the version of family life you expected to keep living into. At the same time, your children still need you in all the ordinary daily ways. Meals still need to be made, routines still need to be held. Questions still come, sometimes quietly, and sometimes all at once. It's a lot to carry. And many parents, especially in this season, begin to believe that their role is to make this easier for everyone else, to smooth things over, to absorb the emotional impact so their children do not have to feel the pain as deeply. And that instinct makes sense. It comes from love, it comes from protection, but it can also lead to a type of exhaustion that slowly pulls you away from yourself. It helps for those parents to gently ask, what am I actually responsible for here? See, contrary to popular belief, you are not responsible for removing your child's grief or from protecting them from feeling it. You're not responsible for making divorce feel easy or seamless. You are not responsible to manage or maintain every emotional response that arises in your home. You are responsible for the environment you help create. You are responsible for how you respond to what is happening both in you and around you. And you are responsible for tending to your own capacity so that when things feel stretched, you have a way back to connection. This is a different kind of work than fixing. It's more quiet and more relational. As Alan Wolfelt teaches, grief doesn't ask us to solve it. It asks us to stay present to it. And for parents, that often means learning how to stay present to your child's experience without feeling responsible for changing it. Children don't actually need a parent who has all the answers or who never feels overwhelmed. They need a parent who remains available to them in the relationship, someone who can acknowledge that things are hard and still stay connected, someone who can return after a difficult moment to them and show that repair is possible. That kind of steadiness does not come from perfection or from being fully regulated all the time, which hopefully we know by now is not possible. It comes from having enough support that you are not carrying everything alone. So when you begin to think about safety, security, and belonging in your home, it can be helpful to shift away from big abstract goals and toward small, repeatable experiences. What helps your child feel connected to you, even on a hard day? What helps you feel a little more grounded in your own body? What makes it possible for you to pause, even briefly, before reacting? These are not questions you have to answer all at once. They are questions you can live into, even 1 week at a time. For example, safety might look like using simple, honest language when your child has questions, even if the answer is, I'm still figuring that out for myself too. Security might look like maintaining 1 or 2 consistent rhythms in your week that your child can rely on. Belonging might look like reminding your child, in small ways, that your relationship with them is not at risk, even though other things around you are changing. And for you? Well, for you, it might look like creating space where you are not the only one holding everything together. A place where your grief is allowed to be present without needing to be managed or minimized. A place where you can increase your capacity over time rather than pushing yourself past your limits. And this is where support becomes meaningful. It's not so that you have space to fix your grief, but so that you have a way to help you live inside it with more steadiness and choice. If you can approach this season with curiosity instead of pressure on yourself to grow and heal, you may begin to notice small shifts. A moment where you respond differently than you did before. Maybe you'll notice a conversation that feels a little more open, or maybe a bit more room in your own body to breathe. Those little shifts are what we're looking for. They matter because they are how sustainable change happens. You don't have to solve everything right now. You do not have to get this exactly right. You are allowed to move through this in a way that makes space for both your grief and your role as a parent. And as you begin to create that space for yourself, you will likely find that it becomes available to your children as well. Not because you removed the difficulty of the situation, but because none of you are facing it alone. Thank you for listening to episode 246 of Restorative Grief. Parenting through divorce and grief is not simple, but understanding what you are and what you are not responsible for can help you create steadiness for yourself and your kiddos. Take a moment this week to notice where you can show up with presence, build small amounts of safety, and care for your own capacity. If this is your first time listening to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart, I'm just so grateful you found your way here. Thank you to the past and present patrons of the show who support the Restorative Grief community by keeping these episodes alive. Check out the show notes if you're interested in learning more about becoming a patron of the work for as little as $2 a month. Be sure to subscribe and, of course, leave behind a review. And as always, before you go, one last thing. Please remember, the only solution for grief is to do the work of grieving. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.